So, as we stated yesterday, there were currently four competing hypotheses that related to the behavior ecology of scarification. Number one being that it was a rite of passage, simply. Number two, that it was a hardening trauma procedure. And when we understand the effectiveness of trauma in terms of downloading experience and information within the inner or subconscious mind, this is what number two is referring to. Number three is getting to the overall theme of what it is that we're teaching about, of scarification as being a non adapted, sexually selected character. Now we get into the terms of genetics and gene science and genealogy in terms of dominant and recessive traits as they relate to character. Number four again expands even more on this scarification as an adaptive, pathogen driven, sexually selected character. Now, it's even more specific because now when we see the word pathogen, we should think of what? The word flaw, the flaw that we've been talking about. So, a pathogen is a specific causative agent, all right? And we've made the statement continuously that like causes produce like effects. And when we went into the book Power versus Force, Nasik had made the point of how we look to solve things by dealing with effects only. But those that are wise understand that you look to the cause, and the cause will lead you to the effect. So a pathogen is a specific causative agent. And we understand that the causative agent was what? The overall causative agent of the flaw was our emanation as eternal beings, our emanation into the physical planes or the physical realms or the space time realm. As a matter of fact, Nasi, human
Uh-huh.
human existence itself is the flaw.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So they made the point that tribe members who were unwilling to participate in scarification were generally not included in the group's activity. And the group members lacking the normal characteristics consistent in the group, now we're getting to this these recessive characteristics and traits. And again, we must understand that these recessive characteristics are not only physical or material in their manifestation, they affect behavior, they affect the overall manifestation of energy, they affect a certain type of mentality, We must understand that these things are not just physical, that they are comprehensive in their effects, and that they represent things that are not normal or characteristic to what? Fully melanated individuals. So we went over all of the traits uh, and the scientific outcomes that the voluntary trauma of scarification and branding that we related to the voluntary uh, the voluntary action or ritual, real-time ritual 400 years ago that our ancient forefathers, that our forefathers that lived during that time, that emanated during that time, we related that to being a ritual that would what? Heal or correct this pathogen, this flaw. So we're all clear. And we made the point that human branding, an experience that we went through during slavery, that it is one type of scarification. It is similar in nature to livestock branding, in strike branding, which is similar to the process to brand livestock. A piece of metal is heated and pressed into the skin for the branding. Historically, it was used to claim ownership of slaves or to punish criminals. To punish criminals. Keep that in mind. Now we want to tie this back to this idea or this symbol of the star, because we're going to see that this leads us into a broader understanding of the prophetic framework and prophetic events that have already occurred recently and that will occur. And we must understand that we are right at the very end of the process. And lo, the star which they saw in the east went before them. We referenced here Genesis 1 through 14. I'm sorry, Genesis 1 rather, 14 through 18 and verse 20. And we want to concentrate on these first few verses because this, as we see in the star tarot, as it's represented, relates directly to the feminine energy and also in context, the bowing down of the sisterhood, those individuals that manifested 400 years ago. So Nasik, we're keeping this within a tight framework
I see.
so that we can have a clear and accurate and even a perfect understanding of where we are prophetically in terms of the time period. Verse 14 and
Gotcha.
15 reads on this wise, and God said, let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for stars and years. So let's not just think of these as lights in the heaven. The star, the stars, we are all stars and essentially made from star stuff. Now, see, the nucleus of the star is actually of a physical star is actually dark matter, dark energy, or melanin. This
Absolutely.
dark energy consciousness. So cosmic, so physically, as we have what you referred to as uh, the internal deep tissue neuromelanin, and that energy that is inherent in us, we make the connection between the star that has that same inner energy, that same substance that we refer
Right.
to as dark matter energy. And it works the same way and it corresponds. So we want to take this, like Nasik said, out of the heaven and put it within us. So the prophetic framework was expanded upon in the book of Daniel, the 12th chapter, verses 1 through 4. And I'll read all four of those verses. And at that time shall Michael rather stand up, that great prince which standeth for the children of thy people, and there shall be, listen, a time of trouble. Now, when we see this word time of trouble, I want us to write down the phrase time of trouble, put an equal sign on that, and put the word tribulation, because we're going to connect this thing up and synthesize these events. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even to the same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And we know that that book is the Akashic record.
Yeah.
And Nasik, it's not going to be somebody finding you in the Akashic record. It's,
Right.
it's going to be you finding yourself in the Akashic record. This is what
Right.
this is what we are aiming to do, to show you yourself in the Akashic record. But as we said yesterday, it is more easily said than done, because we have been trained and we have been programmed to see these scriptures, especially in a certain way. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament. In other words, as a star. And they, and it's going to say it, that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever and ever. It is going to be a cosmic shift that takes place. And this cosmic shift, Nasik, is talked about in the phrase from Genesis 1 and 14, that these lights in the firmament divide day and night. In other
Right.
words, Nasik, because as you talked about, it causes this shift in or the shift in a cycle, or this shifting from what? The head to the tail and the tail to the head. And we know, as you explained perfectly, that the sisterhood or feminine energy led that. It was the primary agent in what? The devolution, and it will be, or they will be, the primary agent, what? In the evolution or the ascension.
Evolution.
Makes sense.
Right. Yeah.
But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. We know that we are in those days because we are seeing things and hearing things and comprehending things, like the scripture said, that the prophets and the wise men wanted to look into, but they were not able to see because the book was sealed. And God said, let there be lights. Now, very interesting, this word light. And this is going to lead us into our journey today. It is the word ma'orah, ma'orah, or ma'ore. And Nasik, we talked about this word again. This word ar or a or aleph resh or ayin resh. All right, r
Right.
or
Right.
or. So this is ma'ora, ma'ora, and it means luminaries. And we're going to find out that this is not talking about primarily or exclusively something that is up in the night sky. Hold on, I have background interference. Excuse me. All right. Again, to divide the day from the night, or Nasi, to accomplish or initiate this action of what? The rise of one thing and the fall of the other.
Right.
All right? This dual concomitant action, the rise of one thing, day, and the fall of the other, night. And then the inception of night and the end of the day, correct?
Right.
So we're talking about the head becoming the tail, just in other just in other terms. And let them be for signs and seasons. We're going to look now again closer at this feminine energy being a sign or a signal. And let them be for lights in the firmament of heaven to what? Influence that which is on the earth.
So Eitai,
Uh-huh.
so when we see this shift taking place, literally so, we know then that it is the feminine energy that has activated it and it has set the season in motion for us to what? Observe this day as we
Absolutely.
speak on the phone right now.
Absolutely.
Excellent. Excellent.
See, and I mean, you articulated it perfectly, Nasik, because the most important time and actually the only time that we have is now. Is now. The former mentality has kept us either looking in the past or what? Looking in the future.
Absolutely. Right.
And we can never, right now, access the power and connect to it.
Right. Right.
Now, see, this is the alignment. The
This is the alignment.
The
That's the
alignment
alignment.
already always to right now. KNOW. Right now. And I do know how to spell. I'm just making a point. We have to syncretize knowing with now. So this word ma'or or ma'ora is feminine. Ma'ora or me'ora. And it literally means, it does not mean star when it talks about lights. But yeah, we're going to make that connection. But it literally means luminary or a luminous body. Remember, the process of ascension is first of all being aware, waking up, being aware, then being conscious, then realizing, then being enlightened. Last step is to be illuminated, to become a luminous body, to turn on all of your energy centers. And that is going to be the evidence, Nasik, of the fact that you are ready to do what? Demonstrate power.
Yeah, that's the evidence.
So,
That is the evidence.
a luminary is defined as a person who inspires or influences others. Now, as we look from our prophetic uh, perspective, in terms of the sisterhood being the primary agents or the primary element in what? Both the devolution and the ascension, right?
Right.
They are rightly luminaries
Absolutely.
Okay.
because the same way that they influence the fall, that feminine energy as being primary is going to what? Inspire the ascension,
Absolutely.
especially one that is prominent in a particular sphere. So we understand when we look at the mythologies, Nasik, in total, it is always the feminine, and that has initiated things within a particular realm. So when we look at the cosmic realm or the realm outside or beyond space time, she is referred to as what? The Ion Sophia that initiated everything. Then when we look at the material world, as it is related in the biblical narrative, it is Kava that did what? Led to the fall. Are you all with me?
Wow. Eitai,
Yes.
do that again. Say that again. That's very profound.
So when we look at the definition of luminary, it states that it is a person who inspires or influences others, especially one prominent or primary. Isn't that what prominent means?
Yeah.
At the head in a particular sphere. So, cosmically, when we look at the mythologies that are outside, that are within the narrative, outside or beyond the areas of the material and space time, or in the cosmic realm or sphere, it is a female that acts unilaterally to do what? Affect the things on the earth and affect things cosmically in terms of the creation. And when we look at the biblical narrative, that the setting is what? Within the space-time realm, or supposed to be in the space-time realm, Garden of Eden on the earth, it is Kava. That is what? Blamed for the fall of man. So we understand that this had to take place, and the one that was prominent, according to all of the mythical, allegorical narratives in sacred works, it is always the divine feminine that what? Inspires and influences. We clear?
Yeah. I'm
Now,
clear.
let's look at, so again, going back to the beginning of this, Nasik, where you made the correlation and the synthesis between the word star, which is kokav, and the primitive root here is kava. See, now we see that the feminine energy, that they are the stars, that they are the prominent
Yes.
stars, that they are the initiators and the influencers. All right? This feminine energy,
Right.
whether cosmically outside of the or beyond the space-time and continuum, or within the material realms, within the space-time continuum. Are we together? And
Yeah.
that means to prick or to penetrate. They are the ones that initiate
That's correct.
and cause what? Something to penetrate through. And when we understand from a physical sense, what? The breaking of the hymen, in order for what? Physical life to penetrate. We understand that not just from the material or the biological or the physical, we understand it from the cosmic.
Right. Right. So we see the holistic relationship as opposed to a dualistic relationship.
That's correct. Where we point the finger at and we vilify the sisterhood.
Right.
So, influence refers to, number one, an ethereal fluid held to flow from the stars and to affect the actions of humans. This ethereal fluid, we're going to find out, is called the waters of noon. And the water bearer, from a cosmic sense and from a physical sense, is the sisters. And it directly relates, Nasik, to creation, to the Genesis, the breaking,
You know,
the breaking or the penetrating of the waters. Are you all with me?
you, yeah, Eitai, you know, they used to have the water bearer used to be a man,
Correct.
but
Well,
if you notice, they done shifted to a woman now.
that's correct. And we see, but our ancient forefathers knew they always represented, see, the water bearer as feminine.
Right. We see it happening. We see it happening.
Cain. So the other definition of influence, watch this now, see, not a creation, but an emanation of occult power. We emanated here from the stars, from dark matter energy. We emanated
Yeah.
here from the heart of the stars, from dark matter
Yeah.
energy or dark consciousness, and went from thought, divine dark consciousness, to what? Reality, manifestation in the physical world. But we never lost our occult power, which is occult just means hidden. Now, see, we voluntarily put it down.
Yeah.
An emanation of occult power held to derive from the stars. Again, we're not talking about no stars in the heavens. We are the stars in the heavens, and we are the
Oh,
stars
no question.
on the earth as well. And again, an emanation of spiritual, that is energetic or moral force. And we know it's not force like that, Nasik. It's power. Again,
More power. Right. Right.
it's moral power. And
Right.
that is what melanin gives us. It gives us the ability in its dominant character or characteristic to what? Be more human, to be more civilized, to be more moral. In what? The physical realms. And this is what has characterized our communities and our indigenous civilizations since we've been here. The only immoral force is what? This aberrant being that we created for that purpose. Y'all got to see this.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah.
the act or power of producing an effect, now see, without apparent exertion of force. You see how they write this? They can only think of in terms of force. If you're not using force, it is miraculous to them. It is mysterious to them.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is something that is covered, that is hidden, that is occult, that is dark. They can't understand it, but we get it. We're comprehending it without
Excellent.
apparent exertion of force or direct exercise of command. Now, see, you read about the commandments. See,
Right. Right.
we gonna get it. We don't need them. We got this inherent within us anyway. The commandments, thou shalt not steal, is for those individuals with what? That don't have that inherent power or inherent moral force or inherent moral energy. Are you all seeing this?
That's for the average civilization, which is
Right.
now, that creation that we are talking about that we are responsible for bringing into existence.
That is correct.
Yeah.
The next definition, the power or the capacity to cause an effect, and one that exerts influence. So again, it brings it back to us and not the stars. This is very interesting. And I want us to pay particular attention to this definition or this etymological uh, explanation of influence, because it's going to lead us again into further connecting ourselves with this prophetic process that we are an essential part of at this point. So, influence is an astrological term. They say it's an astrological term. All right, but we know difference. We know different. It talks about the streaming or emanation of ethereal power from the stars when in certain positions acting upon Nasik character or destiny of men. So we've already stated that melanin, which is this dark energy, in terms of a cosmic sense, determines character. The dominant trait manifested in behavior makes one more human. The recessive trait, as manifested in character or behavior, makes one less human. Why? Because you do not have that connection to the source. It makes people less human and more what? Animalistic. Animalistic. from the Old French influence, again, meaning an emanation from the stars that does what? Acts upon one's character and destiny. Are we seeing this?
Yeah.
Also, as a flow of water. Now, again, talking about bio, uh, the biologic understanding of the sister as being the water bearer as it relates to what? Reproduction, creation, and life in the earth planes. And the way that we all get here is what? Through water and the breaking or penetrating of the water in a physical sense. Everybody with me?
Yeah, you say everybody got a belly button, huh?
Everybody got a belly button. It's self-evident, Nasik. So this
Yeah.
last part is very important because it begins, Nasik, the range of senses. In Middle English were non-personal. I'm going to read that again. The range of senses in Middle English were non-personal. Going back, Nasik, to what you were talking about, this separation of the scientific, what is now understood as science. They did what? Took the senses
Yep, remove the sense organs.
out of the equation, remove the sense organs out of the equation. So we're going
Right.
right back to that. The range of senses in Middle English were non-personal in reference to any outflowing of energy that what
Wow.
produces an effect. See, they want to make it non-personal. I'm trying to make it personal.
We got to make it personal.
We got to make it personal. A fluid. Now, here's another. Now, we talked about the fluid, the water, or vaporous substance. That means gas or cloud, Nasik,
Right.
as well as immaterial, unobservable forces. We know that those are powers, meaning exertion of unseen influence by person. That is magic. That is miraculous. That is this term dunamis, which talks about the miraculous or occult power, the miracle itself, and the miracle worker. We got to make this personal. We cannot have this non-personal. Have it remain non-personal. And this is going to get us to the personal level right quick here. It means the capacity for producing effects by insensible or invisible means. We the only ones on the planet that can do that. And this is from the 1650s. Under the influence, we're going to tie this right back in now to the biblical prophetic framework. Under the influence of alcohol, etc., or meaning drunk, was first attested to in 1866. This should get everybody's attention, like it got my attention. Now, under the influence of alcohol was first attested to in 1866. So, but why did this definition of influence become altered in 1866? Remember, we're going to go back and look at some of their prophecies or predictions that are based on our knowledge. It said that the Antichrist will be born of a Hebrew nun, a false virgin, who will communicate with the old serpent. This was stated in 1846 and then published in 1879. Here again, in the year 1864, Lucifer, now Lucifer means what?
Luminary.
Light bearer, luminary, together with a large number of demons. Demons is the word that we get demonstrate from. Illuminated individuals, a number with a large number of individuals that will be able to demonstrate what? This invisible or occult power will be loosed from hell when? In the year 1864. Got to pay close attention to these dates. The 13th Amendment, which formally abolished slavery in the United States, was passed by the Senate April 8th, 1864. Moving on. In March 13th of 1866, the United States Congress passed by overwhelming majority the Civil Rights Act of 1866, the first federal legislation to protect the rights of African Americans. This is prophetically after these occurrences, after the time of trouble that was unprecedented, right? Which we refer to as the tribulation. Are you all with me?
Wow.
In 1865, we see the end of the Civil War. This is all related to us. Also in 1865, Abraham Lincoln was assassinated. Also, as we stated before, the 13th Amendment to the Constitution was ratified. That officially abolished and continues to prohibit slavery and involuntary servitude. It wasn't involuntary servitude, it was voluntary servitude, except as punishment for a crime. Also, in 1865, the Ku Klux Klan was formed. This is why they had to change the definition. And then the New York Stock Exchange opened its first permanent headquarters. This is very important because the New York Stock Exchange, for the aberrant man, governs every aspect of their life. The same way the Internal Revenue Service does. In 1866, Reconstruction began. Then the Indian Wars. These are the indigenous Americans. And many of us have a direct relationship. The two chiefs involved were Red Cloud, y'all got to hear this, and the snake, the serpent. and dynamite was invented by Alfred Nobel, who was referred to as the Merchant of Death. Are we good?
Mm-hmm.
Good.
So, could I ask you, Amaria, to read the next portion? If you want to grab your Bible, if it's easier for you, it's Isaiah 51, verses 9 through 23.
You want me to read the ninth, starting from the ninth, or the fifth?
Isaiah 51, 9 through 23. And when you get to the word Rahab, pause.
And the reason is wise. Hearken to me, ye that follow the right after righteousness.
Hold on. Isaiah 51, verses 9 through 23.
Okay, got you. The reason is wise. Awake, awake, put on strength, O arm of the Lord. Awake as in the ancient days, in the generations of old. Was it not thou who hast cut Rahab?
Okay. This word Rahab refers to a mythical sea monster. We're going to make the connection now. And to aspects of pride, strength, and arrogance. Amaria, what does that sound like?
It sound like somebody got an ego problem.
Sounds like the ego. So they're talking about, they're being reminded of the ancient days, the generation of old, where we did what? Conquered the ego. Cut or pierced Rahab. Go on.
And wounded the sea monster? Was it not thou?
And wounded the dragon. That word in Hebrew is the word tanin. Tanin. And it means the sea monster or Leviathan. Go ahead.
Was it not thou who hast dried the sea, the waters of the great deep, who hath made the depths of the sea a way for the ransom to pass over?
Pause right there. Who does that sound like?
Sound like Moses and the children of Israel going across the Red Sea.
Absolutely. The parting or the cutting, the dividing of the Red Sea. Go ahead. That's the feminine energy, though. Go ahead.
Okay. Therefore, the redeemed of the Lord shall return and come with singing unto Zion, and everlasting joy shall be upon their head. They shall obtain gladness and joy, and sorrow and mourning shall flee away. I, even I, am he who comforteth you. Who art thou that thou shouldest be afraid of a man that shall die, and
Listen.
of the Son of Man who shall be made like grass?
Now, who is the man that they're talking about?
The aberrant man?
Absolutely correct. You're not going to be afraid of the aberrant man anymore, because you're going to have a proper understanding of your true history. And you're going to know that the aberrant man was created by you with what? A very short life, a very short shelf life.
Mm-hmm.
That is, he is going to be like the grass that passes away.
Okay.
Continue on.
And forgettest the Lord, thy maker, who hath stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth, and hath feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to
feared continually because of the fury of the oppressor. Go ahead.
And where is the fury of the oppressor? The captive exile hasteneth that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. But I am the Lord thy God, who divided the sea, and whose waves roared. The Lord of hosts is his name. And I have put my words in thy mouth, and I have covered thee in the shadow of mine hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, thou art my people.
Continue.
Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which has drunk at the hand of the Lord the cup of his fury. Thou hast drunk the dregs of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out.
Okay,
there is none.
Stop there. This is why in 1866 they changed the definition of influence to under the influence of alcohol, because 400 years prior to 1864, when we were under legalized chattel slavery, we were what? Drinking what had been prepared for us to drink.
Mm-hmm.
Continue on.
Awake. Where am I?
Verse 18.
There is none to guide her among all the sons of whom all the sons whom she hath brought forth.
Now,
Neither
pause,
is there.
Pause there.
Right.
Watch this. You remember we said that during this process that our beloved ancestors knew, and especially the females who had emanated or manifested, they knew that this would affect their offspring. And like Isaiah 51 is saying, that they knew that there wouldn't be anyone that would be born to do what? Help them recover and guide them out of that predicament and particular situation. There is none to guide her among whom she hath brought forth. Isn't that something?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Go ahead, Aki.
Neither is there any that taketh her by the hand of all the sons that she hath brought up.
Of all the sons that she has brought up. Go ahead.
These two things are come unto thee. Who shall be sorry for thee? Desolation and destruction, and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort thee?
Now, again, it refers to the famine. We all know what that is in a prophetic sense. Continue.
Thy sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, like an antelope in a net. They are full of the fury of the Lord and rebuke of thy God. Therefore, hear now this, thou afflicted and drunken. but not with wine.
Okay,
Thus,
so this is why they changed the definition to under the influence. You got to understand that nothing happened to us. We are still under the influence of that divine star, that prominent luminary that is the sisterhood. And we're acting drunk. Why? Because we've been disconnected from our power, but we're not under the influence of alcohol. We are
Mm-hmm. Come
still
on, Eitai.
under the influence of the effect that was caused by the sisterhood when they emanated into these realms to do what? Perform a voluntary sacrifice that would involve what? Scarification and branding as a what? Trauma that would be corrective. And we are still reeling from that influence. We are not under the influence of wine. We are under the influence of a divine star.
So we are in fact shaking it off as a man who just got hit on the chin.
Look, absolutely correct. We are still suffering the effects of that cause, of that cosmic cause. Go ahead, Shosh.
Thus saith the Lord, excuse me, thus saith thy Lord, the Lord and thy God, who pleadeth the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of thine hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. Thou shalt not no more drink.
Okay, Amaria, we must understand that again, the idea of causing this flaw to manifest so that what? We could cure it was done not in a day. That was the unfolded idea or intent. So it has taken 400 years plus to what? I'm sorry, that was the enfolded, idea or intent. It has taken 400 years plus for it to what? Unfold. And now we are we are comprehending exactly where we are within the prophetic framework. Does everybody see this?
Okay.
Now that 23rd verse, Amaria.
Okay. But I put it into the hand of those who afflict thee, who have said that to thy soul, bow down.
Bow down, stop. Remember, they want us to continue to bow down. But the bowing down was what? Voluntary. And it was only for a season. The bending of the knee, the bowing down. We initiated that. Who are they to tell us to stay bowed down when it's time for us to what? Arise, straighten, come into the upright position. Are you all with me?
Hey.
Read that again, Akamaria.
But I will put into the hand of those who afflict thee, who have said to thy soul, bow down, that we may go over. And thou hast laid thy body like the ground, and like the street to those who went over.
It was voluntary. It was voluntary. We need to see that. Bringing this to a close now. So the pictures that you are seeing, we are tying all of this together. And we want to correctly and accurately understand where we are right now. Because energetically now, we have to connect to this. First of all, we have to recognize that this is us. And we have to recognize exactly what we've gone through in this experience and why we showed up at this time. Like Nazar says, this is showtime right now. And I don't know about anybody else. I'm ready to show out, to do what I came to do.
Absolutely. I am too. I keep that.
Very good. So
I think we all are.
Immediately after the tribulation of those days shall the sun be darkened, and the moon shall not give her light. The stars of heaven, the stars shall fall from heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Look, they are fearfully anticipating this. And we went over this Etakarani or Etakarina. The reason why they say Etakarani instead of Etakarina, because they've realized that these are two or more stars that are joining together. All right?
Mm-hmm.
Again, in 1981, a month before, Abba gave the instructions to the women of valor in March of 1980. I'm sorry. Huh?
June 81.
It was June 81, but I said prior to it in May, rather, of 1981,
Right.
they saw this massive occurrence in the heavens. And we have to understand that the occurrence in the heavens indicated to the Father, whether consciously or unconsciously, that the sisterhood, Nasik, was ready to do what? Take
Take
their
the
position.
forefront.
Come into alignment with their position. And
Now, Eitai,
Nasik, one
that
second.
is,
The bending,
go ahead.
kneeling down, Amaria, the kneeling down was not in submission to anything. It was the voluntary now kneeling down or submission of what? The ego.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead, Nasik.
Yeah, I was going to say this is very significant because June of 1981 is when he activated that whole thing. And from that time on, I have been the shepherd of the sisterhood, and I work very, very close with them. And for him to do that, I often wondered, why didn't he use the crown sisters? Why didn't he use the brothers? The reason he used the women of valor is because the women of valor was outside of the present order of what he had already established, which let me know he was aware that he could not change that order until the manifestation of this cycle that was set in motion came to the forefront to change the order of all things.
Wow.
Wow. Good God Almighty.
Yeah,
Man.
I often wondered about that, but now I'm clear.
Yes.
All right, finishing this thing out. Wow. So the stars of the heavens, the stars shall fall from heaven, the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. Then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man. Amaria.
Hey.
Now you remember, we just read the sons that she produced that came forth from her could not what? Couldn't help her.
Right.
But Nasik, the feminine energy had to be reactivated.
Had to be.
And so now what? The sons can come forth.
Absolutely.
So that word is Samayon. And I haven't looked this up, but I'm very sure it relates to the name Simeon. It's very similar phonetically. It's the word Samayon in the Greek. Samayon. The Son of Man, that is his sign, will appear in the heaven. And then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn. And they shall see the Son of Man coming, what? In the clouds of heaven. We talked about this thing is going to be produced by the star, because we said it not only produces this flow of water, it produces a vaporous substance as well, which is this what? What's referred to as the clouds of heaven, which in the biological is a molecular cloud or molecular gas that has power and great fury. And he shall send his angels with the great sound of the trumpet, and they shall gather his elect from the four winds of heaven, from one end of heaven to the other. If we don't understand that we're seeing this and that we are part of this experience right now, then we need to go back a couple of lessons and reacquaint ourselves with those lessons. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth again shall awake, some to everlasting life, some to everlasting shame and contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, as luminaries. And they that turn many to righteousness, in other words, to their upright position, as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up the words, seal the book, even to the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. So we're going to end right there and open it up for questions and comments.